In 2025, Nintendo released Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. This was the long-awaited Metroid Prime 4. We're talking, I don't even know how many years people were waiting for this thing. And when it came out, people were very underwhelmed. They were not happy. At best, they were like, there are good parts, but it's not as good as previous Metroid Prime entries. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One of the main ones is something called Soul Valley. Soul Valley is this gigantic desert that exists for no apparent reason in terms of the gameplay. Because for some reason, somebody thought it would be a good idea to turn Metroid Prime into some kind of an open world type of game. Take some influence from Breath of the Wild or something like that. I don't know whose idea that was, but that was a bad idea. Because you see, anybody who's played the Metroid Prime series, they are not supposed to be these like wide open places that you just go from one place and then there's like this central hub and then you go to this other place, because that's what they tried to do with Metroid Prime 4. And the way they did it made it feel like it was tacked on and not really thought through. So anybody who has seen Soul Valley, you might notice that I'm not showing any footage of it, because you could look up any footage of Soul Valley and it all looks the same. You see Samus, who's the main character, for those of you who've never played any of the Metroid games. You see her on her brand new motorcycle. Again, I don't know where that came from. I know that Nintendo sells an amiibo with Samus on a motorcycle. I think that's part of the reason why that motorcycle was included, to sell merchandise. But I don't want to veer off course. So she's on a motorcycle. Samus has never had a motorcycle before, but she's got a motorcycle here for some reason. And basically that's how you traverse through this wide open desert that has nothing in it. And that's the weird part. Like, what is the point of having this wide open, vast area that's basically empty and you have to traverse through it to get from place to place? There are things inside of this desert. They're crystals. And these crystals come into play in the game, which makes it even worse. Because late in the game, you have to ride around Soul Valley collecting these green crystals, because that's the only way you can complete the game. You have to get a certain amount of these green crystals. Unbelievable. So then they force you late in the game to spend more time in Soul Valley, even though you've been spending so much time in Soul Valley already. And that's why a lot of people think they just put this in there because maybe the game itself was too short and this was a way of making it longer, is by forcing the player of the game to spend so much time in this wide open, vast desert that doesn't even have any music. That's the other thing. You know, the Metroid Prime series is well known for its beautiful music. And even though I've criticized Metroid Prime 4 in this video for the past few minutes, there are some good songs in there. But they didn't put any of them in Soul Valley. Now, supposedly, Nintendo sells an amiibo that can allow you to have music in Soul Valley. But if you're just, one of the poor people who just bought the base game and none of the associated things with it, you paid your, whatever, $70 or however much you paid for Metroid Prime 4, you don't get any music in Soul Valley. So now you're spending tons and tons of time in this ugly desert that has nothing in it but crystals that for some reason you need to collect, and there's no music. It really is like a punishment because you have to do it so often. It's not like just one part of the game. It's like you got to do this throughout the game. And that's the problem because it interrupts the pacing of the game. Like, it's hard not to notice what a hindrance Soul Valley is on the overall quality of this game. It really drags it down because there's no fast travel. You know, it's like you literally have to get on the bike and just ride and ride and ride. And it just ruins the mood. Now, the fact that all this stuff is going on in this vast desert area, as if that wasn't enough, what also happens when you're in this desert area is you get to hear from everyone's least favorite NPC, Miles McKenzie. Now, in the previews for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Miles McKenzie, along with Soul Valley, were the two biggest, like, what are they doing? You know, that's like what made everyone pause for a second and say, did they ruin Metroid Prime 4? Because when people saw this Miles McKenzie character who has dialogue reminiscent of annoying Marvel movies, like, it's about to get real nerdy in here. And, you know, just like things that you would never expect to see in a Metroid Prime game. Go back and play the original, the first Metroid Prime, whether you can play it on a GameCube or get Metroid Prime remastered for the Nintendo Switch. You could also play it on the Switch too. And that game doesn't have any of that in this. So it's like, that is the complete opposite of what you would expect Metroid Prime to be. Random NPCs, a wide open area that you're just riding a bike around in. I mean, those two things, like, okay, so this NPC guy is bothering you when you're in the desert, basically telling you, go here next. You know, use this power up that you just got, this new thing you got, and go to this area and use it. You know, people talk about yellow paint in video games. Some people think Miles McKenzie is the personification of yellow paint. He even has yellow on his suit in the game. I mean, you know how many years they had to make Metroid Prime 4? And to put out a product with a wide open desert area that the people making the game, I know some of them were like, the people are going to hate this. They're going to hate this. And they just didn't back down on it. They didn't want to reverse course because it was already part of the game. I don't understand that. Like, why not just delay the game and take the stupid stuff out? Take out Miles McKenzie. Take out the desert. Make it a real Metroid Prime game. They failed the Metroid fans. But you know what? Hopefully they learned from this disaster that was Soul Valley, and they fixed their mistakes in Metroid Prime 5, which might come out 20 years from now.